Yeah, so now that I just got my new house cleaned up, I caught my pet. He was running around shitting everywhere. The Mazda 3 is a great car to take on my camping trips with me. One of the reasons why I wanted this car, well, to make girls think I'm normal. When I bring them back to my RV here, I get them inside and the murder starts. What do you think about what's the best Japanese cars to work on?
Honda, Toyota.
What's the worst?
Mazda, Nissan.
And why is that?
Because they're fucking like Dodges.
God, this thing's easy to get out of. And that's really an excellent point because this car is normal. I don't have to try to pretend. This is the vehicle that people purchase to drive every day, to do their everyday tasks, go to work, get groceries, you name it. But the point is why am I making such a big deal out of a Mazda 3 hatchback? Well, there's a reason for that. So you're like me, you're looking for a Japanese compact. Mazda 3 fits the bill. Well, this wouldn't be my video without some slander. Truth is, this is pretty much the last batch of the Japanese-made Mazda 3. Because as of 2014, they've moved in the entire production of this car to Salamanca, Mexico. So if you're looking around online, you're gonna start seeing there's not a lot of Japanese Mazda 3s left. So why is that a big deal? Well, this is a first for Mazda. From the ground up, this is a brand new project without Ford's help. They had to create their own OEMs, their own supply chain, their own engine manufacturing, transmission manufacturing, all in Mexico. So you're not only getting something brand new for Mazda, you're getting all these parts that have been completely sourced to Mexico. You've had to take a foreign workforce, bring them to Japan, have a translation barrier to get them up to speed to make this car from the ground up as a new generation. Okay, so that was a long diatribe about the Japanese Mazda. So I could not find one in my local area. I had dealer trades set up that fell through 3 times. Anything that was local was either Mexican made or not what I wanted. So in order to get what I wanted, I had to fly to New Mexico from Illinois to buy the car there and drive it back. When I get a new car, one of the first things I like to do is throw it on the lift. And that's where Turbowski comes in. We take a look at the underneath, the suspension layout, the chassis, the exhaust, and then we look at the mechanical feasibility to do things. But since this is a brand new car and I break my cars in hard like I like to break in my body, is drain the factory fill, send it out to the lab, and replace it with an oil with high moly content because that aids curing metals even after break-in process. You have to take the cap off to fucking put it on? Yeah, just close the hood, could you? I like the little detail work Mazda focuses on here because the most important thing to me is that I have a Mazda badge under my hood. Why'd they leave off the E at the end of Sky Active? Really, yeah, appearance is totally subjective, and love it or hate it, what they've done is just kind of matured the styling of the Mazda 3, the Mazda 6, the CX-5. They all have these similar elements, the big frontal area, the different lines. They got rid of the smiley face look. And if you get on the interior of these cars, especially the Mazda 3, you can tell they kind of did some copying there of BMWs. And I think it works for this car. It makes it feel more upscale and it pays off. But really, you're not fooling anybody that this is some expensive car, but it certainly looks better than the price would suggest. So yeah, Japanese quality, right? I keep ranting about it. Well, the truth is right off the showroom floor, this car has an alignment issue. The wheel's slightly cocked to the left, and it's just annoying as shit. So I already have to bring it in for that. Aside from that, after 1,500 miles, I mean, the car feels really solid. One of the big concerns I have about having an appliance is it entertaining to drive? And there's so many cars out there that are so sterile. When I'm saying sterile, I mean like the Golf, the GTI. It feels so well put together, you don't feel like you're doing anything. It's boring. I get the same feeling in the Focus and so many of the other compact cars. So I wanted a car that felt like there was some room in the chassis to have some fun. Let's take a look here. Soft rev limiter. Not bad. Any car in this class is going to have a cable shifted mechanism. And when you have a cable shifted mechanism, which was started in the early 2000s on most compacts, they just feel fake. It feels like you're playing a glorified video game. In fact, my manual shifter on my simulator feels more realistic than this thing does. Now, that's not to say that it's bad for the class, but it's not enjoyable to row through the gears. You're like, dude, come on. This car's got 16-inch wheels and tires. It looks ridiculous in this day and age. And you know what, that's kind of true. You don't see too many cars with big-ass sidewalls in this class, but in this model, the 16-inch wheel tire combo gives me a couple things: cheap replacement tires and ride compliance. What I'm really surprised with, and I didn't expect it, was the fuel efficiency is better than I expected. Now, I came from a Hyundai Veloster, which basically claimed it was going to be the next coming of Jesus in terms of fuel economy and handling. And it was really kind of a letdown after the course of the ownership, because I never got anywhere close to the miles per gallon claimed. In fact, I was struggling to get 32 miles a gallon on a good day, even on highway driving. Now, I know some people got higher than that, but this car I don't even have to try. I'm in the high 30s pretty much all the time. You know, we're in a 90-degree day with almost 100% humidity, and one of the things that's really nice about this car is, for a 2-liter, the acceleration is pretty ample. I mean, this isn't going to set the world afire, but when you need to get on it, you just have to rub the shit out of it. It's typical, you know, 4-cylinder nonsense. So what Mazda's done here is they've kind of gone for the more upscale look. And it's not just a look, it's a feel. You can tell that they've spent a lot of time with different textured materials: hard, soft, shiny, matte, leather surfaces, vinyl surfaces. It's just a really good combination, a really good blend of different materials. So one of the big things is the infotainment systems on cars. Most are not going to survive the product life cycle, 3 to 5 years. So what Mazda did is they outsourced this to Johnson Controls, a Milwaukee-based company primarily, who does UI and industrial design. So what they put together here is a quad-core 1.7 gigahertz processor head unit with plenty of RAM, and they have an open API, which means if you sign up for their project, developers can create applications for it. Now, the nice thing is, since it's a Linux-based OS, almost like Android, you can, with the right developers, they can compile anything for ARM processors. Now, the other thing is, since this is Linux-based and there's Wi-Fi, you can already gain root access to the head unit and change the file system around, which means customization. Now, it's not very far along now because the car is pretty new, but you're looking at in a couple of years, you're going to have probably a different OS on here, tons of different features, and that's very promising to have a car with this type of technology in it to be able to change it and modify it. One of the things I really like about the HVAC controls on this car is it's very smooth, it's simple to use, and it's consolidated in one spot without looking like they went to a Walmart and stole all the knobs and controls off a Fisher-Price toy. The steering wheel feels great in the hand. It's leather wrapped with red contrasting stitching. You have the fake carbon fiber look and then the gunmetal base to the wheel. Put together, it's just a really nice quality feeling control for the whole car. Now the buttons are a little cluttered, like most cars, but I think overall after a couple days you get used to it. So yeah, okay, I like the HVAC controls, but what about the gauge cluster? Well, to put it nicely, it fucking sucks. They have a huge center-mounted speedometer here that is just impossible to read. Now, visually, it doesn't look that bad, but it's just not very usable. And then you get to this digital tachometer, which is just absolute garbage. You can't see it in certain lights. It's so fucking small, it's pointless. So what they could do is what they did on their S models is have a center-mounted tach with a digital speedometer, and it would solve all these problems. But for whatever reason, they didn't want to include that on all the cars. The dead pedal. Why is it just carpeted? Because I know after about 1 year I'm going to have a hole in the carpet from my foot sitting there. It needs some type of cover, metal plate, whatever, but carpet on a primary foot position that's always rubbing and twisting is not going to fucking last. What are the pros? The pros are just on the surface. The interior is excellent. The exterior is fresh. The chassis is really good. The overall driving dynamics of this car are excellent compared to all the competitors. From the transmission, to the engine, to the fuel economy, to the interior cargo space, to the features you get for the money are really class leading, which probably won't last for more than a year or two. But all of the things combined make this an excellent package, and it's a huge pro. The cons are simple. There's no cover on the dead pedal. I'm going to wear through the carpet. This gauge cluster sucks my balls. They need to put the S Grand Touring cluster in all the cars with a center-mounted tachometer. If you have an S Grand Touring model with the EI loop, you're adding needless complication. You don't really know what it's going to be like to service that. One thing you do know is anytime you do electrical work, you got to discharge that capacitor, which takes 2 hours to discharge it. So before you can do anything, you got to sit there and wait while this thing discharges. I don't have that in this model, but that's something to be aware of. The other thing is the cargo tray in the hatchback. It's extremely sharp. I cut my head on it the first day I went to go put my head down to put something in the hatch. That's something that I found that was annoying. The other thing is the cup holders. You only have 2 in your armrest, and the 2 in the doors are angled like this, so you can only fit a bottle, and I'm sure that's on purpose. The other thing is the head unit stability. There's a lot of complaints about it, and I see the potential for serious problems with it if it's not updated or there's not a lot more development done on it. Other than that, if you're getting a Japanese model, there's been cars rolling out of that Hofu Japan plant for years, so you know that pretty much most of the bugs have been resolved. If you're buying a Mexican-made car, I would say you're really rolling the dice.